Hey everyone, the Gaming Rev here. The Deadlands patch is now upon us and so are my Templars. With this video we're going to look at my updated Stamina Templar PvP build, by far the strongest Templar I have ever put together. It deals so much damage while retaining excellent survivability and sustain, and most importantly it does not rely on proc sets that you can be sure will get nerfed in the near future. So this build offers excellent performance in every PvP scenario, from open world to battlegrounds, from group to solo, from CP to non-CP. For those of you who always ask for it, I have included a gameplay clip at the end, so make sure to watch this video all the way. If you're wondering whether I'm going to release an updated version of my Magicka Templar, the answer is no. This because the build still performs stupendously and there's nothing I am planning to change for this patch. So if you haven't looked at it, feel free to do so by clicking the link in the top right corner now. You can also find the same link in the video description below. If you appreciate this channel's content, make sure to leave a like and a subscribe, as it really helps. Anyway, let's jump right into it. Let's start by looking at the race, Mundus and consumables. In my humble opinion, Orcs are hands down the best stamina race for this build. They get a line of max stamina and a line of max health and a little self-healing, which never hurts, a ton of weapon damage as well as sprint speed and reduced sprint cost. However, other valid alternatives are Imperials, Nords, Wood Elves and hybrid races like Khajiits, Dark Elves and Argonians. I've actually made a tiers list video on the best starting races that you may want to have a look at. The link to the video will appear in the top right corner of your screen now. For my Mundus, this time I have decided to switch from the Lady to the Serpent, as I get my resistances from one of the new sets that I am using. With the Serpent, you simply will not run out of stamina, either in CP or non-CP. However, if you are playing this with a group in a CP context, you could switch the Serpent for the Warrior instead, for more damage but less sustain. For my food, I run the good old Bewitched Sugar Skulls, and for my potions, normally I just run Tri-Stats, Essence of Immovability and Invisibility. Now let's take a look at my buff stats. But as we do so, let me point out that even though those stats look quite impressive, there is a lot more going on in the background that is not showing, particularly with regards to sustain, penetration and just raw damage. So we run almost 23k max Magicka, which is a must on this build since I use a number of Magicka based skills. Over 35k health, which is a very decent health pool that helps me survive burst damage. And 35k max stamina. My Magicka recovery is 1k, which is more than sufficient to sustain my Magicka pool. My stamina recovery is on paper almost 1600, but to that number you need to add up to 800 from a set that I'm using that we're going to be looking at later, plus 480 from restoring focus, for a total of 2850, which is just ridiculous. Okay, especially in a 1vx situation, and even in non-CP you will never run out of stamina, which is amazing. My weapon damage is 6.7k with a 25.4% crit rate and a penetration that on paper is just under 6k, but that, thanks to major and minor breach, goes up to almost 15k, which is insane since this is a stamina toon. My spell and weapon resistances are 25 and 24k respectively on my front bar, and 27 and 26k on my back bar, which is impressive since I'm wearing 2 light, 3 medium and only 2 heavy armor pieces. My crit resistance is only 1600, but you could easily raise this by using more impenetrable traits on your armor, or by slotting in a different star in your champion points. Personally speaking, I am comfortable with this amount since I use roll dodge as my main source of damage mitigation. Now let's take a look at my gear. When it comes to my gear, very little has changed apart from 2 sets, which make an awful lot of difference to the build. On my front bar, I still run Essence Thief, possibly one of the most underrated sets in the game. The first 3 bonuses are exactly like Spriggan's, giving you 2 lines of max stamina and 1 line of weapon and spell damage. But it is with the 5th item bonus that the magic happens. For every time you deal damage with a light or heavy attack, you draw essence from the enemy that when picked up not only heals you for a nice 4.5k health, but it also restores 4.2k stamina. Not only that, it increases all your types of damage, both stamina and magicka based, by 10% for 10 seconds with a 10 seconds cooldown. This is why I've not jumped on the Deadly Strike bandwagon, because Deadly Strike gives you a bigger numerical value, 15%, but it only buffs the damage of your damage over time and channeled abilities. On a Stamina Templar, that means buffing only your jabs. Essence Thief's damage buff may only be 10%, but it applies to everything and it gives you amazing sustain too. The only drawback with Essence Thief is that you have to play this mini game of catching the essence pool every 10 seconds. But to be honest with you, I love this mechanic and it looks gorgeous. The essence pool is very visible. It's this bright green ball that you just cannot miss. On my back bar, I still run Clever Alchemist. It gives max health and tons of weapon damage for 20 seconds every time you drink a potion. But since it's only on your back bar, you must think before you drink, as popping a potion on your front bar will not proc it. With regards to the 2 new sets, let me start off with Magma Incarnate. A monster set that is just full of goodness. Not only does it grant you magic and stamina recovery, which is awesome for a Magplar and a Stamplar, but it grants you and up to 3 group members minor courage and minor resolve, increasing your armor, weapon and spell damage for 10 seconds. So it's not only good for you, but for your small group as well. This set is just amazing and it can be procced passively by all of your many sources of healing over time. If you don't have this set, you could run good old Engine Guardian. And then last but certainly not least, we have got Death Dealer's Feet. By far one of my favorite mythical items in PvP. It pumps my health, magicka and stamina pool while in combat for a total of 2650 each. So this is a brilliant set. And alongside all this goodness, I also run 1 piece of Trainee for an extra line of max health. I basically run 2 light, 2 heavy and 3 medium pieces, but you can rearrange these whichever way you want in order to gain more or less armor type passives, and this is what my armor and weapons overall look like with regards to enchantments and traits. Now let's take a look at my skills. On my front bar we start off with Razor Caltrops. It is super useful in 1vxing, especially in confined spaces or in choke points. Not only does it slow down and damage enemies, but it afflicts them with major breach. So if you run in a group, you'd probably want to slot in something else, possibly Repentance, Camo Hunter or an Execute. Then I've got Rally for major brutality, minor endurance, and a burst heal. Living Dark, this skill is amazing. It slows enemies down, which is always good to land your jabs, and heals you every half second anytime that you're hit by a direct damage attack. Cannot stress enough just how good this skill is in an outnumbered situation, helping you stay alive even while under pressure. Then we've got biting jabs. One of the reasons why I love Stamina Templars so much is the fact that their spammable has major savagery built in it. This means that you don't have to necessarily slot another skill like Camo Hunter, and you can simply use Crown Tri-Stat Pot, so it's very, very cheap to run as well. Then we've got Toppling Charge as a gap closer and Hard Stun. What I love about Toppling Charge is the fact that it sets enemies off balance. This means that if you fail to pick up a couple of essences and you're running low on juice, all you need to do is topple charge someone, set them off balance, and restore twice as much resources with a heavy attack on them. And then for my ultimate, I use Crescent Sweep. It's super cheap, it hits super hard and in a 360-degree radius, and if you miss, you can still damage your opponent with the pulse on you for 6 seconds. You may have noticed that I don't run an execute on this build, and this because I don't need one. All I need to do is cast Power of the Light on my Batba, jab the enemy, stun them with a toppling charge and when they're low, and then finish them with Crescent Sweep, which will also cause Power of the Light to explode at the same time. So yeah, incredible skill. Then on my Batba, we've got Race Against Time for movement speed and snare removal, but also for minor force, as this build has a very decent crit chance. Then we've got Vigor for healing over time, Extended Ritual, the best cleanse in the game and decent heal over time as well. Power of the Light for that extra burst and minor breach, but also to activate the passive Prism, which grants ultimate every 6 seconds. Now in Wrathstone, this skill has been buffed quite considerably, as it now copies 50% of the damage done, up from 30% if I remember correctly. So if you didn't need an execute before, you certainly don't need it now, and of course this is valid in Deadlands as well. Then we've got Restoring Focus for major resolve, stamina sustain, and also a nice heal over time when standing in it. Again, Templars shine in confined spaces. And then last but not least, on my Batba, my ultimate is Spell Wall. I have it as a defensive ultimate to pop when it gets too hot and I need to just survive and reposition. Let's now take a look at my champion points. In the green tree, I have got Rationer, Warmount, Gifted Rider, and Steed's Blessings. In the blue tree, I have got Fighting Finesse, Master at Arms, Biting Aura, and Unassailable. Now, the reason why I prefer Unassailable to Duelist's Rebuff is because the hardest hitting abilities and procs in the game are all AoE. Think about it: Dawnbreaker, Leap, Meteor, Crescent Sweep, Oils, the Nefarious Dark Convergence, and so on. They're all AoE. So I find this to be a much better choice. Anyway, this is, a personal preference, and you can do whatever you want with your CPs. And this is what the rest of the tree looks like for me. I always advised you to pick every possible passive. Then in the red tree, I run Celerity, Rejuvenation, Fortified, and Boundless Vitality. Alternatively, instead of rejuvenation. You could be running this skill over here, sustained by suffering. It gives you more magicka sustain if you are under the effects of a negative effect, but since you are a Templar, you should be cleansing those negative effects off you. So this star isn't performing as well on Templars, both magicka and stamina, as it would on other classes. But again, this is entirely up to you, and this is what the rest of my skill tree looks like. Again, pick as many passives as you can. So there you have it, my Stamina Templar build for every type of PvP scenario. If you have enjoyed this, please make sure to leave a like and a subscribe, and to check out my magicka Templar build video as well. I put the link to it in this video description. Anyway, let me know what you think, and feel free to reach out to me with all your questions. Thanks for watching, God bless you, have a fantastic day, and enjoy the following gameplay clip.